thank you, and welcome to the 2012 WELS Band Festival. This is the 52nd year we've been hosting festivals like this for our high school band programs across the nation. My name is Kevin Elke. I'm the Director of Bands here at Winnebago Lutheran Academy. This is my first year serving as the band director here. After I accepted the call to become the band director here, I believe I walked into my office the next morning, or the next Monday morning, and Paul Wellen, my colleague at Kelmer Lutheran High School, said, "Hey, congratulations, you're hosting the band festival this next year." Which I've been super excited about, and it's been a great experience for me personally and for the students here and our band parents here at Winnebago Lutheran Academy. Order of business number one to do a festival like this is to get out and find an outstanding conductor to work with these amazing kids. And we've been blessed and privileged to have Dr. Andrew Mass serve as our clinician. He began his teaching career in the Iowa and Minnesota public school systems. He then moved to St. Ambrose University down in Davenport, Iowa, and is now the director of bands at Lawrence University in Appleton, Wisconsin. Please welcome Andrew Mass to the podium.
Is this on? Yes. Hey, how about that? Good afternoon. I'm glad that we could provide everybody a little bit of respite from the terrible weather we're having outside. It's good just to be sheltered and safe and secure, isn't that good? So to give you a little bit of information about what we're doing in the program, the first piece was actually Timothy Marr's inaugural dances. Timothy Marr is the director of bands at St. Olaf College in Northfield, Minnesota, and a very popular, well-known composer for bands in general. Just a nice opener and welcome and how you doing and get to know you for a musical concert. Our next piece will be Robert Sheldon's Longford Legend. And this consists of 3 movements, so we'll have a couple gaps between each of the 3 movements. And these are based on Irish ballads. The first one is a story of a man who buys a boat and has a crew and is set to go out onto the lake and has everything he needs to know to take the boat on this excursion except the directions on how to dock it. And being a man, he won't ask for directions and he won't get help from anybody. So the boat just keeps going around in circles in this lake, and the captain and the crew exhaust their provisions, and eventually the boat turns into a ghost ship. But it still keeps going around in circles around this lake. So real common occurrence, and it's something we encounter on a regular basis. The second movement is a typical Irish tragedy. Based on a man who is a hunter, goes out and shoots what he thinks is a deer. Turns out that when he goes to retrieve it, it is actually his wife, his lover. So real upbeat piece and something we're really positive about. And then the third and last movement is another, again, just typical Irish humor here. A man who is married to a woman he is not happy with. He describes her as a nag and someone that he's trying to get rid of, and he makes a deal with the devil to take her off his hands. And so the devil is always happy to oblige these kinds of deals, except that when he takes her, he realizes that she's even too much for him. So the devil brings the wife back, and the man is just stuck. So with those images in your mind, please enjoy Bob Sheldon's Longford Legend. Next, we'll be doing what has become, in the last year or so, one of my favorite pieces of the last 10 years written for band. Written by a composer who's no stranger to bands and band music. Frank DeKelly has written music for just about every conceivable level of musician, from very beginners to some of the most advanced repertoire that we have. Rest was commissioned by Russ Mickelson, the director of bands at Ohio State University, in honor of his father, who had recently passed away. And this is, again, just about in the last 2 years. Russ came from a good Wisconsin dairy farming family of 5 brothers and sisters who thought that the best way to honor their father was to have a piece of music written for him. This is actually based on a previous piece of music that DeKelly had composed earlier for his dear friend, Carl St. Clair, who is a conductor on the West Coast, whose year-and-a-half-old son tragically passed away in a backyard pool accident. And he wrote a choral piece called There Will Be Rest, which we listened to yesterday in rehearsal, which is also a stunningly beautiful piece of music. So the lineage of this was written for choir on behalf of a tragic death of a young son. And the band incarnation is for another passing, but on the other spectrum of life, for a father at the age of 92 who had lived a full, robust life, but whose life still wanted to be honored. I think this is a piece of incredible richness and depth. And I've asked Kaylee McCann to come up and read the poem by Sarah Teasdale that the choral text was taken from and is the basis for the band version of this piece.
There will be rest, and sure stars shining over the rooftops crowned with snow, a rain of rest, serene, forgetting, the music of stillness, holy and low. I will make this world my devising, out of a dream in my lonely mind. I shall find the crystal of peace. Above me, stars I shall find.
So from one of the more recent compositions for band, we'll go to something that's over 100 years old. The Liberty Bell was written by John Philip Sousa shortly after he started his own band. He was the leader of the United States Marine Band for many years, and then in 1892, the plan came for him to form his own band and sort of cherry pick the best players that he could possibly find in Washington, D.C., and New York City, and anybody who was anybody wanted to be in John Philip Sousa's band. And shortly after that time, he wrote the Liberty Bell March, which, despite the connotations of Monty Python and all things that come along with that, has, you'll hear a bell, prominently played not by a bell, but by chimes, so we'll get that same sense. But was actually written originally for an operetta that Sousa at the last minute pulled because the contract had been breached and he wasn't being paid his full fee. So he said, I'll just rename this, and he had a son who had recently marched in a parade in Philadelphia that walked right by the Liberty Bell, and his wife had written him how proud she was of that. And he said, sounds good to me, we'll call it the Liberty Bell. So, John Philip Sousa's The Liberty Bell.
At this time, we will take a brief break. We will not call it intermission. Intermissions are where you get up, go to the bathroom, get a snack out in the back, and then come back in about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll just take a brief break. You can stand and stretch. We will, at this time, also take a free will offering. Obviously, festivals like this take on an expense. And please feel free to be generous with your offerings to support the festival. And following the free will offering, we'll have some announcements and then get back to some more music. Thank you very much for your generous donations to the festival. We're going to take a brief moment now to say some thank yous. Obviously, a festival like this doesn't pull off through just one person. And everybody, I believe, is acknowledged in the program. And if you are not acknowledged and you had some of this part of this festival, and I left you out, I apologize. We're going to start under the acknowledgement section of the program. And if these people are here, please stand, and what we'll do is recognize them with a round of applause. Our housing coordinator was Renee Whitty. Food service, Sue Immel, and a number of WLA Kitchen volunteers. Our audiovisual and live stream people in the back who are helping us out, Andrew Saloff, Dale Whitty, Barty Larson. Our devotion leaders for this week were Paul Passetti, Pastor Gertner, Pastor Guzzi, and Pastor Odia. We borrowed some equipment from Marian University and St. Peter's Church and School. And our busing, Mr. Greg Hoffman, our athletic director, helped set up some of the busing for the weekend, and Johnson Bus Service. So if those people could please rise if you are present, let's acknowledge them with a nice round of applause. When you have 96 students attend and most of them coming from a distance, we need places for them to stay. In the next section of our acknowledgments, special thanks need to go to, and I'll ask these people to stand also, any of the families who opened up their homes to our students and the directors, any of our WLA Association, administration, and teaching staff, and then especially the WLA students and parents who gave of their time in so many ways. So if you are here, please also rise and acknowledge some applause. One of the things I spoke with the students last night real briefly about was there was some point in their life where a teacher handed them that instrument that they're playing and gave them guidance and gave them direction. And it's an amazing thing for us as teachers to be able to work with these students. And what we want to do now is acknowledge each of the individual directors from the schools and the students they brought with them as far away from Arizona and Washington State, and as close by, of course, as Winnebago Lutheran Academy. And so we'll introduce the director of the school, and then we'll ask that the director stand and the students of that program also rise and accept some applause. From Arizona Lutheran Academy, Mr. John Passbrig and his students. From Evergreen Lutheran High School, Miss Jody Justman and her students. From Fox Valley Lutheran High School in Appleton, Wisconsin, Mr. James Neuer and his students. From Huron Valley Lutheran High School near Detroit, Michigan, Mr. Steve Grasinski and his student. From Illinois Lutheran High School in Crete, Mr. John Hermanson and his students. From Kettle Moraine Lutheran High School in Jackson, Wisconsin, we have two directors here today. Mr. Paul Wellen is the high school director, and Mr. Josiah Willits is his student teacher. Please rise. From Lakeside Lutheran High School, Mr. Dave Fensky and Mr. Brett Dewey, and their students. From Luther Preparatory School, their directors are Mrs. Linda Miller and Mr. Nate Kieselhorst. Unfortunately, they are unable to attend, so the representative today is one of their tutors, Elise Wardell, whose father is also one of our band directors. He's probably up at the other festival this weekend in Northland, Michigan. So, Elise Wardell and the Luther Prep students, please. From Michigan Lutheran High School, Mr. Ryan Sungel and his students. From Nebraska Lutheran High School, Miss Martha Johnson and her students. From Rocky Mountain Lutheran High School near Denver, Colorado, Miss Kelly Presser and her students. And as you already know, I serve as the director of bands here at Winnebago Lutheran Academy, and my students, please stand. We are now going to welcome to the kind of podium Mr. Brett Dewey. He is one of the directors at Lakeside Lutheran High School, and he has been here this weekend serving as our percussion clinician. One of the things we do at festivals like this is offer the percussionists a little bit of a unique opportunity musically, and we form a percussion ensemble out of the 8 members, and they perform an ensemble piece of music at these concerts. So Mr. Brett Dewey, please. And I forgot something really important. See, I knew I was going to blow something big. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you're done. We don't let you back at the microphone. Mr. Elke and I can do that since... What grade did I have you in? Was that...
10th, 11th, 12th, 3 years of college, and 3 years at Kelmering Lutheran High School.
No, I'm done. On behalf of the directors, we would like to thank, first of all, Dr. Mast and Mr. Dewey for sharing their time with our students this weekend and sharing their expertise and their love for music with all of these students, because now we can take them back and they have grown through the course of this weekend thanks to their efforts. And of course, we would like to thank Kevin for all of his work and dedication in putting this festival on. Virtually everybody sitting up in front here has put on at least one of these festivals, and we know how much work it is. And for him to take this on in his first year, we applaud his efforts. It's been a wonderful experience for the students and a great time for all of us, and we thank you sincerely.
And there is an order of business I forgot. Thank you very much. Here today with us is the band director from Martin Luther College, Mr. Miles Worcester, has an announcement in regards to next year's band festival.
I was actually sitting back there crossing my fingers hoping you'd forget. It is a wonderful privilege to attend BandFest year after year and hear these students who have literally come across the United States to come together and perform at such a high level with wonderful music and wonderful clinicians, for that fellowship that we have in the Lord through music, and to have new friends and make new music. Next year, in March of 2013, Martin Luther College in New Ulm, Minnesota has the privilege of hosting the next band festival, which is a national band festival. And so this is extending the official invitation to New Ulm, Minnesota next March 15th through the 17th, 2013. And we'll try and arrange for weather this nice next year too. Thank you.
Now we will welcome Mr. Brett Dewey, our percussion clinician for the weekend, to the, like I said, quasi-podium. He'll be located back there in front of our percussionists for our percussion ensemble piece, Ellipsis.
Wasn't that amazing? Nice job, guys. Bravo. Before we play our last piece, we'll be doing the Foster's America. We won't be doing the Jaeger arrangement of the Southern Hymn Song this afternoon. But before we go to that, I'd just like to quickly add my thank yous. A lot of them have already been said, but I'd like to particularly thank Kevin Elke for inviting me to come here and being such a gracious host. I do a fair number of these over the course of the year, and they're not always run this well. They're not always organized this smoothly, and they're not always this well supported. And I know, having run a couple of these myself, how much work it takes. So thanks, Kevin. And it would be incredibly disingenuous for me to take more than about an iota of a millionth of a percent of credit for what's going on up here, because the teachers that were recognized earlier are the ones who are doing this the other 365 days of the year, and they're the ones who deserve so much credit. There's a lot of great teaching going on, and without that, this wouldn't be possible. I told the students at the first rehearsal that this is a little bit like taking a meal that you usually prepare in a crock pot over the course of weeks and doing it over the course of really hours in a microwave. This is an incredibly difficult process to do that we're asking these students. They were incredibly patient. They were incredibly hardworking. They were incredibly receptive to new ideas. And I want to add my thank yous to the teachers, and I want to triple, quadruple, gazillion-oople my thanks to the students for putting up with me for 2 days. That's a lot. From Friday morning, working many hours on this music, and for their hard work and patience and tolerance. But thank you very much, folks. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for your support of music. The arts touch our heads and our hearts and our souls in ways that nothing else does. And these are incredibly important and valuable activities that we're participating in. They're not just frills, they're not just extras. This is essential to what it means to be a human being. Thank you for your support of this. This is a wonderful festival. Please keep supporting it. We're going to play, just since it's been a while since they've been sitting, we're just going to play a couple quick notes, and then we'll begin with Foster's America, which, I should add, like Longford Legend, consists of 3 short movements, the tunes of which are listed in your program, so you can follow along. Some of these tunes will be very familiar to you. Some of them may not be so familiar, but Stephen Foster is kind of like the J.S. Bach of American music. He was one of the first composers, songwriters to really give America its own set of folk songs, and they're really beautiful. And I think David Gillingham has done a beautiful job of studying them. So after just a 2-second refresher course on how to play an instrument, we'll get going on Foster's America.
Mr. Dewey, please come up also. I'd like to thank once again our clinicians for this weekend, Mr. Brett Dewey, Dr. Andrew Mast, and these wonderful students. Man, awesome, awesome stuff. And they've been great all weekend. Give them another round of applause. Enjoy conversations with each other. Enjoy the rest of the day. Students are located throughout the building. If you're going to be looking for a student you're picking up, the homerooms they're in are on the south side of the building. There are 3 main hallways that get you up there. Thank you very much for coming out and supporting the festival. Have a great day.